Thanks for joining us again on WSPA Plus, and 7 News is your local election headquarters. I'm Fred Cunningham. We are continuing our discussions with all of the candidates who have declared to run for Spartanburg County Sheriff. We are joined today by Robert Cheeks, who is one of those candidates. Robert, thank you for being here.
Hey, Fred, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
It is our pleasure to have you here. Before we get to our questions, start with just telling me about yourself. Born, raised, kind of tell me your story.
Yeah, absolutely. I've lived in Spartanburg County my entire life, born and raised here. I've been in law enforcement now for 15 years. I started off at the Spartanburg Police Department. In 2016, I moved to the Sheriff's Office. I've had the wonderful opportunity to serve and protect the citizens of Spartanburg County in multiple capacities, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to actually run for sheriff.
And that leads us to our first question. Why are you running for sheriff?
So one thing this stands out, I believe, for me is just my deep love and compassion for Spartanburg County. Living here my entire life, I think it's important for you to understand the values and the things that are important to our community. One of the things that drove home for me was being in the gang unit and supervising the gang unit in our community, because we noticed the uptick of violence and the things that were disrupting our youth and causing a great concern for our community. So while I was a part of that, it gave me an opportunity to make deep community connections. And I realized early on in my life that law enforcement can truly have a meaningful relationship with the community. When we were all in school, I was a part of the DARE program, like many people that were from my generation. And I had a school resource officer who told me that, you don't have to be a product of your environment. He was engaged in his community. He was a part of his community. And it truly reflected on how law enforcement can truly be leaders in our community.
You touched on this a little bit, but I want to give you the opportunity to go into a little bit more depth. And for those who aren't aware of you, what qualifies you for this position?
So one of the popular conversations that we end up having is how our experience dictates differently from all the other candidates. Like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years now, and I've had the opportunity to serve in several capacities. Early on in my career, I was assigned to the FBI task force where we combated violent crime and gangs in the upstate. And part of that Safe Streets task force was to make sure that we embodied deep community connections to show that law enforcement can have relationships with our community and show the true impact of it. From there, when I moved to the Sheriff's Office, we worked narcotics, we worked street-level narcotics, international drug trafficking organizations who were distributing fentanyl and importing fentanyl from inside and outside the country. Fentanyl and methamphetamine at the time were, and still are, one of the leading causes of our drug problem and our property crimes. And we had the opportunity to partner with federal agencies and different entities to ensure that we did our best to combat the drug problem and see what we needed to do to partner with our community to make it better. So from there, I was able to come back to our gang unit where, again, we had the opportunity to see the things that are deeply impacting our community every day. Our gang violence from our youth, trying to have prevention and intervention techniques, and not only doing that, but partnering with different agencies across the county, such as Goodwill, and we make sure that we're pipelining people into their futures. Just because you've had some type of criminal justice involvement, just because you may be incarcerated, doesn't mean that we can't be that first step to helping you come to your future. Making sure that we are able to have things such as job opportunities for people that have been involved in the criminal justice system, making sure that we are the first step to say, hey, even though you have a criminal history, we can get you a good paying job. We can pipeline you to whatever your dreams may be. The gang unit gave us an opportunity to not only impact adults, but impact youth. And for us, it was just trying to see how we can become a bigger part of our community.
You addressed a little bit of this with your experience, but can you tell us, what do you know about the current Sheriff's Department situation and what changes do you want to make?
Absolutely. So currently the Sheriff's Office, and when you think about the Sheriff's Office, you have to think about the detention facility as well, because there's a lot of great men and women that work at our detention facility, and we have to make sure that we encompass them in our conversations as well. So currently in my current role, I supervise the Uniform Patrol Division, which about 130 or so deputies to work days and night shift. So currently at the Sheriff's Office, what I would want the community to know is that because of the headlines doesn't necessarily dictate the deputies that are serving every day. We have amazing men and women who continue to answer the call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we have to commend them for the job that they continue to do. Currently at the Sheriff's Office, we have several things that need to be fixed, and I think with the trust of the people and their involvement, we could lead to a better future.
Is there anything you'd like to address specifically when you say things that need to be fixed?
So ultimately, one of my first things that I want to do is make sure I hear the voice of all the people that are involved. It'll take some time, and we all have a 90-day to 100-day plan of what we consider is important as far as the Sheriff's Office and how it reflects on our community. But we also want to make sure that we understand the deputies that serve, and what's the priorities for them. So even in the times where we are trying to develop our relationship with our community and make sure that we restore our trust, we want to make sure that we take the time to have individual conversations to see what's important to the deputies and how we make sure that they're happy and make sure they're out here to serve to their full potential.
Interim Sheriff Stevens has dropped Operation Rolling Thunder. Do you agree with that decision, and can you explain your feelings on it?
So what most people don't know is that we have a interstate criminal enforcement unit, and their job every day is to go out on the interstate to interdict illegal narcotics, human trafficking, and there's a gambit of things that they come across on a daily basis, and they're very, very successful at what they do. Now, do I believe that we have been kind of frivolous in the spending and such that we've done over Rolling Thunder over the last 5 or 10 years? Absolutely. Do I believe that we need to reevaluate fiscally what needs to be done for Rolling Thunder and how to make sure is operating effectively in the best interest of taxpayers? Absolutely. I think it has a role in law enforcement. I think it has a role at the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office. And together, working with the deputies, working with our county council and our administration, I believe that Rolling Thunder can still be a successful effort in Spartanburg County.
The sheriff is often one of the most powerful, if not among the most powerful positions in any county. We've seen numerous examples across the state of South Carolina of abuse of that power. What would you say to the residents of Spartanburg County about how you would treat this responsibility and not abuse that power?
Absolutely. I think the thing that could keep a sheriff more accountable than anything is for the people to have a voice within the agency. One of the things that I'd like to do in the beginning is create a Sheriff's Advisory Council. And the council should be made up of someone from every community in Spartanburg County. So we've got about 15 or 18 or so different communities in Spartanburg County, and that's not including within the city limits. And we want to make sure that there's at least 1 or 2 representatives from every community within the county, so that at least quarterly we can meet with the sheriff's office, we can meet with the sheriff, we can make sure that we set goals for our community, figure out what the crime rates and the things that they think are important within every community in Spartanburg County, and make sure that we have a voice so that we can hold the sheriff to the same standard that everybody expects to be held to.
What kind of relationship do you have with sheriff's deputies right now and those who would serve under you?
So I think the biggest thing that any sheriff should have, and that any supervisor or leader across any gambit should have, is the trust of the people. I think more than anything is being able to have people in leadership and management that you know that you can go to, that you can trust, that they'll keep the things that you want to say in confidence. They'll keep the things that are important to you, a quality of more so leadership to the whole agency. We want to make sure that we can have a place that's not only safe, but a place that we can be confident in our abilities and confident going forward.
I think you were talking a lot about the citizens of Spartanburg County there, and we just once again let you emphasize the opportunity here. Do you have a message that you would say directly to those deputies?
Absolutely. I'll give it directly to the deputies and directly to the community as well. I want the deputies to understand, as their sheriff, that I have the full and utmost confidence in their abilities. I trust the decisions that they make, and without a doubt, day or night, that I have their back. I want the community to understand that you have amazing men and women who sign up every day to serve and protect this community. They're willing to put their life on the line for a stranger, and that should not be taken lightly. I also want the community to know that I will work diligently to ensure that we together rebuild our trust, not only in Spartanburg County, but rebuild our trust in the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office. And just know that we cannot do that without you.
Robert Cheeks, candidate for Spartanburg County Sheriff, is our guest. We will continue with more questions for him in just a moment here on WSPA Plus. Back now with Robert Cheeks, candidate for Spartanburg County Sheriff. Before we get back to the questions, I do want everyone to have the opportunity to hear about your website. Tell us where you're available on the internet.
So Robert Cheeks for Sheriff.com. If you go to Facebook, it's Robert Cheeks for Spartanburg County Sheriff. Same thing for Instagram is Robert Cheeks for Spartanburg County Sheriff. I encourage anyone, if you want to reach out, direct message. I probably do a pretty good job of within a day or two, make sure I reach back out. And if it's a long conversation, I'm more than happy to give anyone my phone number and we can talk anytime that you wish.
Has there been any conversations so far that you would like to share?
Honestly, there's been so many. There's been so many. In the first few days, I'll be honest, it probably took me a little bit longer to get back to the questions because there were so many at one time. Everyone really wants deep answers, and I think what people have appreciated more than anything is the truth. I've given real hard answers to some of the questions, and I think most answers people have respected, even if they haven't agreed. So I just appreciate the opportunity altogether to be able to engage.
And let's remind everybody of that address one more time.
It's robertcheeksforsheriff.com.
All right, let's get back to our questions right now. How would you describe your relationship with members of Spartanburg County Council?
So the difficult thing is that ultimately, as the leader of the sheriff's office, you have to have some type of working relationship with the people that are looking to finance and support the sheriff's office, understanding that at the end of the day, we may not agree. And I think the current state of their relationship with the sheriff's office has been affected because we haven't been responsible enough to educate them on what we do for a daily. So I think going forward, it's important to ensure that we reestablish those relationships. We make sure that we understand and they understand how we operate and why we operate, as well as the community. And even though we don't agree, we have to make sure that we're always constant professionals.
What do you know about the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office budget and how that aligns with the current needs of the department?
So one of the things I think we have to do in the very beginning is making sure that our budget aligns with the vision that we have. One of the things that we struggle with for a long time is not having a vision moving forward. When I was promoted to first lieutenant in November of 23 or so, one of the things that we asked for is, what is our vision as an office? What is our vision as executive leadership? And what is our vision for our deputies? It's something that we struggled with, and I think maybe that's why we lost the path and we end up where we are now. But we have to understand that our vision has to align with our budget and making sure that county council and our county administration understands what that is as well.
Do you know any of those individuals?
As far as county council? Or,
yeah.
Well, we know all of them by name. I think having a relationship is something that I have to build with all of them. I would hope that as sheriff that each person from county council would want to say, hey, let's talk, let's understand what your priorities are, let's understand what the vision is for the future of the office. And although we get the opportunity to sit out in the seats and we get to see them, and we may not always agree with their rhetoric, but we have to understand that if we want to be that constant professional, if we want to do what's best for Spartanburg County, then we have to develop some type of professional relationship.
What would you say are your top 3 safety issues?
Number 1 would definitely be gun violence. Number 2 would be gang violence. And I think number 3 would be how to make sure that we can decrease the population of our jail by recidivism. And I would say that would tie hand in hand with trying to make sure that we develop some type of program that we can pipeline inmates into careers.
Let me ask you as well, if elected, what is the first thing you would do as the Spartanburg County Sheriff?
Our first thing that I would do is try to see collectively how us and the executive leadership team, how we could restore the trust of the citizens of Spartanburg County.
You mentioned a little bit at the start as we wanted to hear about your story. Can you go into maybe a little bit more depth what drove you to want to become in law enforcement? or a first responder?
Absolutely. Around, I'll say probably around the fifth grade. I grew up on the south side of the city for most of my life before we moved to Bowling Springs. And at that point in my life, there was a lot of outside influences that very possibly could have turned my life into a different direction. In middle school, I went to Carver Middle School, and we had our school resource officer. His name was Sergeant Tyrone Johnson, and we all had to participate in that DARE program. And in the DARE program, one of the things that was kind of encouraging for us, he would dress up in the Scruff McGruff outfit, and he'd teach us the life skills and things like that. But he's seen things in us that we didn't see in ourselves. And he made sure that we brought those things out of us even when we were uncomfortable. From a very early age, I seen how deep of a relationship that if someone was intentional enough, the relationship that law enforcement could have in their community. And it could be the opposite of what headlines were. I realized that law enforcement is vital, but we have a responsibility as law enforcement to not only enforce laws, but to shape our community. And if he could have that impact on me, and I know that if one day if I could be elected sheriff, then I can ensure that we can have that impact on everybody within our community.
You mentioned you grew up on the south side of Spartanburg, also then lived further out in the county, Boiling Springs area. Mm-hmm. This is an area that is just exploding right now. It is a huge growth area. We've got companies that are moving in here. It seems like a new company gets announced every month or so. What kind of expectations do you think should be for the sheriff's office, or at least can you describe the work ahead that for the next sheriff of Spartanburg County with the way that things are changing so much?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we have to really reassess is our manpower. We haven't really upped our manpower numbers since the early 2000s. So as our population has grown, as roads have become busier, as our infrastructure has become somewhat unstable for the size of the community that we are, we have to make sure that we are sufficiently making sure that we meet the needs of the community. And manpower is one of those things. If we have to divide the county up into different areas, if we have to do different things, different manpower analysis and things like that, we want to make sure that we are able to meet the needs of the community on a daily basis.
You mentioned a school resource officer when you were growing up. Are there anybody else in law enforcement or anything else that were maybe mentors or maybe that were people who inspired you, whether you even knew them or not?
Absolutely. I had an uncle that was a lieutenant who passed away in the early 2000s as well. One of the things growing up that you will remember, he was a very big man. He was 6'4", 6'5", and he had an amazing stature and voice to go along with it. And you remember seeing the police car in the driveway, and he'd let you touch all the buttons and do all the things. And he had this grand gold wing motorcycle, and it was a lot of times just the calm that he brought to your life, just in different conversations in the leadership and the way that he would talk to you about life lessons. That combined with who Sergeant Johnson was for me showed me that law enforcement was truly a calling and it was a path that I wanted to choose.
This is not a question, but it's just an opportunity for you to lay out your final thoughts to potential voters who are watching this and getting an opportunity to meet you. What would be your final address to them?
Absolutely. I think it's very important for me to, number one, take care of the deputies of Spartanburg County. For a long time, I feel like they've been overlooked, underpaid, and underappreciated. In any work platform that we go to, taking care of your people is number one. We have to understand that if we want the quality of law enforcement, if we want to be able to retain the wonderful people that we have at Spartanburg County, we have to pay them correctly, we have to treat them correctly. Out of that, we get amazing law enforcement services. We have the ability to respond to calls in a timely manner, so we're not waiting 30 to 45 minutes to wait for a deputy to respond. We also want to make sure that one of the big things is the transparency and accountability. Several people have asked me, what does transparency look like to you? I challenge that back to what does it look like to that person? Transparency looks different to everybody. Accountability, more than anything, is the truth. When you ask a question, you want the truth. I want to deliver that. And I want to make sure that as we grow as a county and as we grow as a community, as we have children, as we have grandchildren, that we're building a legacy where we know that we can be safe, we can be committed to our public safety, and we can be committed to ensuring that Spartanburg County as a whole is a great place to raise our families.
I want to give you one more opportunity to mention everybody your website where they can find out more information about you, and again, tell us what all is available there.
Absolutely. RobertCheats4Sheriff.com. If you scroll past the first picture, there's a deeper bio of what I've done in my 15 years of law enforcement, and it truly explains the experience that I have that kind of makes me stand out more than the others. Below that, you'll see the things that I feel like matter most to me is moving forward as Sheriff of Spartanburg County. And then just an opportunity to connect. I think every conversation is important. I believe access to your sheriff is important, and I want to be that for you.
Robert Cheeks, candidate for Spartanburg County Sheriff, thank you very much for being with us here today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for watching WSPA Plus. 7 News is your local election headquarters. We thank you for being with us.